And we are live. Thank you, everyone, very much for joining us. And everyone else watching this back is recording. We appreciate you being here as well.
Yes, absolutely. Tonight, we're joined by Nadine. She's an advocate for the family of Russell Burnett, who disappeared February 21st, 2021 from Franklin, Maine. Nadine, welcome to Locating the Lost.
Oh, thank you for having me.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That jinx.
So if you don't mind, Nadine, can you tell us what you know about Russell? What he was like growing up and the kind of kid he was, and then as a young adult and so forth, and also kind of include how you became connected to this case.
Okay. I knew Russell from high school. He was a freshman when I was a senior, but I was really good friends with his brother. So that's how I knew him mostly. He was a character, and he loved baseball when he was little, and he always had his little comebacks. He was a spunky kid, just as blonde as could be. And then, through high school and grammar school, same old thing. Just he liked playing his jokes and his, spending time with his friends. And his family was very, very important to him. He didn't go a day without talking to somebody in his family, but he had a pretty good sense of humor. Was a pretty fun guy to be around.
Yeah. And how did you become connected to this case?
Well, like I said, I lost touch with his brother for many, many years. And then there was a lot of stuff going on in the family, and I kind of got back in touch, and it just really bothers me. As a mother, I can't imagine what it's like not to know where your child is. And I only knew him from school, and I can't think of how his mother must feel, his parents must feel.
Yeah, his brother Kent is actually watching now.
Yeah.
So Kent, thanks for joining us.
Yeah.
All right, Nadine, can you go into maybe like the few weeks leading up to his disappearance, what was going on in his life, maybe where
he had
working?
a lot going on. It was coming up on the year anniversary of his son who had died in a car accident. So he was really struggling with that and struggling to keep himself all together. He did have some substance abuse issues, and so he's kind of white knuckling it, trying to get through it, and just trying to come through this time in his life. He just didn't know, how do you navigate it? You don't know, it's something you hope you don't go through.
How old was his son when he passed away?
His son was 21, I believe.
It's awful.
Yeah. It's been a long road for the whole family.
I'm sure. Now, when he disappeared, was there any thought that he might have, had done self-harm to himself, or is that something just the police maybe brought up?
I think the police really believed that, but he wouldn't have done that to his family. He was very family oriented. Like I said, he talked to somebody in his family, usually his brother. He probably talked to his brother every single day, and having, the family had gone through some things. So, he wouldn't have hurt himself. He wouldn't have put his family through that.
So what does the family think happened then? Let's start with the actual disappearance. What happened the day of the disappearance that we are aware of?
Okay, he had stayed at a friend's house the night before because he was struggling, and he stayed with his friend. In the morning, he was last seen walking home, which for him was across the street from this friend's house. And by all, it looks like he made it home. The TV was on, his jacket was there, things like that. And he had asked a family member to take him to the hospital that day. And so they had come about 10 o'clock. He left the neighbor's house about 7:30 or so. About 10 o'clock, somebody came to give him a ride to the hospital, and he was not there. And afterwards, I believe some more of the family went there, and, you know, like I said, his TV was on, his jacket was there. It looked like he had made it home, but he and his dog were missing. And his dog, Bevy, they were together all the time. He didn't go anywhere without her, constant companion. And they were both gone at the time. And, you know, so they, I believe, waited a little bit, thinking he might come home. But, you know, after he hadn't, they started to look for him. But the weather was really bad at the time. So they did a little bit of, you know, stuff in the, you know, go ahead.
Middle of February, right? So
Yes.
like this is not good weather to be out and about. Good time of year to be outside, unprotected.
In Franklin, Maine, is that considered down east Maine? Where Franklin is?
Yeah, it's north of, or, you know, down east of Ellsworth is what I call it, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's down on the coast. And he's been in the area
Can
all
I
his
ask,
life, you know.
why was he going to the hospital?
Because he wasn't feeling very good. I think he just, like I said, he was trying to get through this hard time that he was having without turning to anything. And I think he just at that point was saying, I got to go to the doctor, because there was so much going on. He was feeling a lot of stress and, you know, trying to figure out how he was going to handle the upcoming anniversary.
Yeah. Okay. And then you said somebody came by at 10 o'clock in the morning. The TV was on. Jacket was there.
Yeah.
And again, we're talking about February, Maine. Seems like he would have brought his jacket with him.
Yeah. His jacket was there. His phone, there's always kind of been conflicting, but the family says that he had his phone, or his phone was somewhere, because it wasn't at the house. And so at one point, somebody tried to call it, and somebody answered, but they don't know who. And it wasn't a regular, it was a pay-as-you-go phone. So there was no way to track it.
Was it a male or female that answered?
It was a male, I believe. And
that is not what I had read. The little bit, because there's not much about this, but
No,
I read
there's
that there was a phone and a charger that was found at home. But that is not the case, or did he have a second phone?
I don't know if it was a second phone, but I do know that there was a phone that was missing with him. That's why I said it's really confusing, because the police reports all talk about the phone being at the house, but the family talks about the fact that the phone wasn't at the house. And his cousin Kelly, who has since passed away, she said she had told me once that she had called it and someone answered it. And she said, this is so-and-so's phone. And whoever it was had said, well, it's mine now. But, there's no information on who or where, or,
And that could have been the phone number been recycled too, not necessarily
right.
his phone.
Exactly.
Oh, okay. So was this immediately after, or was this a little while after?
It was, I'm sure, within days, because the family, they started to call him as soon as he wasn't there for the doctor's appointment,
Right.
being concerned, because that was something that he had asked someone to do for him. So they started to try to track him down right away. And he wasn't driving, so he didn't have a vehicle with him. So
who saw him walking home at 7:30 in the morning?
the neighbor that he stayed with lives right across the street from his driveway. So you go up his driveway a little bit into the woods, not, you lose sight as he's going up his driveway, but it's not, it wasn't that
few
far
mile
away.
trek or anything like that.
No, it was about a quarter mile probably from the end of his driveway to his place, if that.
Yeah.
And did Bev, the dog, have a sleepover at the friend's house too?
Yeah, Bev was always with him, and he was missing for the time he was missing. Well, Bev showed up 2 weeks later, at the house where they had stayed the night before. And
Mhm.
she did not look like she had been in the woods. She was clean. She didn't have broken nails. She looked like she'd been well taken care of, well fed, and showed up at the driveway where he was last at. And, was just kind of odd that she would come back not looking like she'd been in the woods, which,
Yeah.
And what do the police say about that?
the police don't really say a lot about any of it, to tell you the truth. I mean, it's an open case, so I mean, I get it, but it's been 9 years, and really since the beginning, there hasn't been a lot of information. The family hasn't been able to get any information about anything that's come in on the case. So
what does the family think that means, that the dog seemed like it was well taken care of, and
that he was probably picked up by somebody, and whatever happened with whoever this person was that picked him up. And then, they kept the dog to, for whatever reason. And then
it's weird. I've seen other cases. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but I've seen other cases about that where someone murders a human and then they don't have the guts to kill the animal that's with the human stuff. It's just weird, the psyche of people. But I'm not saying that's what happened, but it's a possibility.
But yeah, it's just odd that he just, who vanishes. And I've tried to call people, like I've been trying to find aerial photography, like Google Earth, the satellite stuff, just, like if you could see his driveway at a moment in time, maybe see who was in his driveway, but I can't find it. I can't find out who I can get it from. I called the university in Maine and they said that the police would have to request it. So
have you talked to the police about them requesting it? Sorry.
Okay. I did see that they were planning on doing another search for him, right?
Yes, I called them the Monday after, because a lot of the family and the people that live in the area had just said, oh, we never saw anybody. So when I called, they said, yes, we did it. We didn't tell anybody where we were going to be because, of course, they didn't want people there. So they did do the search, but from my understanding, they found nothing of significance.
And was the search around his home or is it around somebody else's house?
They didn't tell me, and it was probably not around his home, because the people who would have told me they weren't there would have been people that knew where he lived and had probably driven by to see if they were there. So I'm not sure where that search took place, and I'm not sure, they won't say why,
that's gonna be
why they decided to do another search now, but I've been trying to keep it out there.
Now, is this going to be a public search, or is this going to be another, like they're keeping it quiet where they're going sort of search?
It was a quiet, didn't say where they were going kind of search. I mean,
so they already completed the second search, or the other search. Okay, my mistake.
A couple weekends ago. And like I said, though, people were concerned just because they hadn't seen anybody in town, but they did assure me that they did some looking.
I wonder what put him in that spot.
I don't know. Of course, like I said, they won't tell you anything, so it's hard to know anything, and it's just difficult, for his family. His mother has nightmares every night.
Yeah, you
We've got a comment here from Katie After Dark saying his mother lived with me for a while. Everyone around knew him. I find it unbelievable that no one knows anything.
Yeah, people know something, but what they know, I don't know, and whether it can be substantiated, I don't know.
Kent says, if anyone really cared, more would be done.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well,
Seems that way.
I think, you know, he lived a lifestyle that, you know, isn't always conducive to people taking it very seriously when you aren't there.
Mm.
You know.
Yeah, and we run into that a lot. People who have checkered past, or maybe have some, do some things that isn't right or normal or
Right.
good, whatever. But that doesn't mean that they shouldn't be found.
Right.
That actually makes up a good chunk of the cases that we cover.
A lot of
Yes.
Issues with substance abuse or
Yeah.
XYZ sort of problems, mental issues.
Right.
And they just seem to, in my opinion, it seems like cops look at that as, oh, well, that's just something clearing itself off the board that we don't have to worry about anymore.
Yeah.
Like someone going missing that
Yeah.
could be
Which
a problem.
upsets
So
me because they should listen to the family. You know, regardless of what was going on in Russell's life, he was very family oriented. So he was not one to just go and leave his family not knowing where he is or what's happened to him. So, the police, I don't know if they believe there was any foul play. They don't really say anything about it, but it's kind of hard to look at it and not think there's something odd about it.
What are some of the stories you guys are hearing?
There's just,
Oh yeah,
There's-
that one.
yeah, that's about the only rumor that I've been hearing. Is
So
really,
for people listening, is Carrie is saying people say they need to check further into wood chippers.
yeah. And I hate to go into the rumors, like I say, because it's just rumors. It's, it's not fact. And,
Yeah,
I
everyone-
don't want anybody to,
I mean,
feel
and
like I'm
even
accusing or
Billy
anything.
Billy here is saying a lot of opinions surrounding this. Yeah, and
Right.
when you don't have anything else to go off from, if the police aren't providing any sort of updates, and no one seems to be coming forward about any of it, it's all going to be opinion and speculation until there's something more concrete.
Exactly.
And Kent also said he had his faults, but so don't we all. Absolutely, yeah. None of
Yes,
us are
absolutely.
perfect.
Yeah.
I will
he
say
was-
this about you talking about the rumors, though, because what I'd heard is that the gentleman involved may have sold the wood chipper out of state, possibly removed the identification number off the wood chipper before he sold it, but it might jog someone's memory, like, oh shit, I remember
Yeah.
this guy sell me this or whatever, and maybe someone will help us with solving this.
I hope
No.
so. I mean, it's hard because the word only gets so far. Doing stuff like this is great. It kind of gets it out there more. But, there's not been a lot of news coverage on it for anybody who's really gone disappearing in Maine. Anyone who's disappeared, there's not a lot
It
of
seems like that.
press on it usually.
There's so many cases that Jeff and I are the first ones to cover sometimes, like, and there's no
Yeah.
reason.
Yeah, and like this one, there's there might be one or two news articles talking about it, and one of them was just from like a month ago, right?
Yeah.
Just sort of a quick update that's not really an update at all, other than to say, kind of go over the basics of what happened and
Right.
talking about how there was going to be a search.
And then once a year, the state police will put up a thing about it. the day they
Well, yeah,
disappear.
he'll do that. They'll put out something usually just before hunting season, about keeping an eye out in the woods, which I do too. I tell people when they're out there, just keep an eye out for anything strange. But,
So-
but Maine is a big state. And if you don't really, if you don't have a starting point,
Yeah,
I've seen a
I
name
do want
floating. Oh, sorry. I've seen a name floating around out there, and I know that you don't want to mention any names or anything. But why do you think that people are pointing towards that individual?
I am not sure. I don't have all the information on a lot of why, the who's, and the what's it's. But Russell wasn't perfect, so there was probably a lot of people that had a beef with him about something or another, but
And that's what I was going to ask. That, like, did he have a lot of people that would dislike him for any particular reasons, or?
I don't know if people, I mean, I don't know if people disliked him. I think he lived his life, and he lived his life the way he wanted to live it. And
sometimes that comes with the consequence of people maybe not liking you, or
sometimes you burn some bridges,
Right. Yeah.
So,
and I did just want to put this back up there. The contact number, if anyone does have any information about this, contact 207-973-3700 extension 9 and request Detective Dana Austin.
Yeah.
I got Dustin out of that.
But yeah, it's, it's like I say, it's at this point, the family just wants him home. If they find out what happened and they can get some closure that way, then great. But I mean, at this point, they just want him home. I mean, both of his parents are ill, and, what parent, it's torture. Knowing if it was something good that didn't happen to him, at least it's better than not knowing, because every day his mother still has hope.
Right.
That he's going to walk through the door, and it's tough because the days keep going by and there's just no resolution. And what she imagines is probably 100 times worse than what actually happened.
Right.
So.
Especially with the rumors that are out there.
Yeah, the rumors are, like I say, they're rumors. I don't know if I really believe them or not. I mean, I kind of really...
That seems to be the most prevalent one that I've heard over the years. Is there any others that you can think of that?
Well, I mean, I honestly kind of think that it's possible maybe he overdosed and was with someone when he did, and that person may have panicked and may have just got taken him somewhere. I mean, I don't know. It's hard to say, what could cause someone to take somebody and not want them to be found. You know what I mean?
Right.
So,
it's one thing, right? If someone overdoses and someone like flees or whatnot, but if that is the case, right, taking someone and like hiding their body after the fact,
right.
that seems bizarre to me.
Yeah. And, there were people that were in his life who were not in his life suddenly after he was missing. So, I mean, there's suspicion. There's suspicious things that have happened.
Without saying names, you talk about just friends of his that were around, and then all of a sudden
he had certain friends, that were in his life for a while. And then when he disappeared, they also disappeared.
That's weird. You'd think they'd want to join in and try to help find.
And Kent says he didn't overdose.
That's, like I say, that's just speculation out there.
Right. Another...
could be, because nobody really knows yet. So it's a kind of a could be. It's tough because you don't want to hear anything horrible. But
and Kent's his brother, so Kent, if you have heard anything else, or if you have any suspicions, feel free to put them in the comments there. Or we
also have a call-in line if you want to use that. Let me put that on the screen as well. 207-619-2661. If anyone does, want to call in or have any questions they want to ask live, anything to say, feel free. Oh, let me put that back up there longer. Oh, that's the wrong one. You can call them too, but.
Yeah, I would like to see people start, I have it up where people can call me or let me know of anything, and then I'll pass information on. But if they're not comfortable just talking to the police.
I'll put in the comments now your Facebook page.
Okay.
And a comment here. Shelley Carson says, it does get hard for people who try to advocate for the missing when you have others with a hero complex making false accusations about the advocates. Not sure
I know
what
I
that's
don't know what it means either,
Oh,
but
you do?
she's talking about the same guy that we dealt with a while ago, Jeff.
Oh, really?
uh,
Yeah, we had a dude that was being weird about the stuff that we do, making a lot of
Oh.
accusations about us as well,
oh,
saying that we are like begging for money from families and stuff. Like,
Right.
give me a break.
Carrie, we're losing money on this endeavor, by the way.
And that's okay.
That's okay.
We're not
Yeah.
bothered by it. Carrie's saying that's right. If he did, he would have been found. I assume he's talking about the
as far as
overdose.
overdose. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's tough because he did really, it was just like they say, he just into the vapor, and then he's just gone. And he never had a checking account, things like that. So there's no way to track him in that way, but just the fact that he stopped calling family is just the biggest thing.
And
Yeah.
leaving his dog.
And his dog, of course. Yeah.
Carrie says, people together were the ones that OD usually just leave that person where they are. And that part is the one that's like, okay, someone else was definitely involved in this because of in my opinion, the bevy coming back 2 weeks later, well fed, and they said that, definitely didn't seem like she had been out in the woods for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
In February.
Because
In February.
Exactly, in February. First of all, she was still alive, healthy, no chipped claws or anything like that. Like, nothing indicates she's been running around out in the woods for 2 weeks. Someone was taking care of that dog.
Right.
Um,
And for her to leave him, I guess at some point they would, but, I don't know. She'd be by his side as long as she could. So it's just odd that she showed up and he didn't,
Did she act famished when she was found? Or
No, not according to people I talked to. She just, like she was just there. And it was like, oh, hey, where'd you come from?
No, he lived near Hog Bay, right? And he has a tattoo. Can you tell us about his tattoo?
Well, I went in the military right after school, and I don't know if this is why he got the tattoo, but it was always just a story I'd tell. But when I was active duty in the military, I had a guy that I knew who had a shirt on that he had that on the back of it said, "If found face down, return me to building such and such, room such and such." So I told that story to Russell one time when I came home, and he just thought that was the funniest thing ever. So then when I found out he had his, "If found, return to Hog Bay" tattoo, I just thought it was funny because, he just thought that was such a riot. The guy was like, "Oh, at least he's taking care of himself." So.
And that's kind of almost ominous now that he's missing. Having a tattoo say, "If found, return to Hog Bay."
Yeah.
And Kent here says, I have my suspicions, but I believe someone knows. I 100% agree with you. And I'm not obviously from the area. I don't know the stories, but this doesn't seem like he just walked off into the woods or ran away. Especially Billy saying here, I can't see him leaving Bev and not calling his mom in 9 years. Absolutely.
Oh no, he would have never done that. I mean, the whole family is very tight as far as that goes. They're always in touch with each other. They kind of always know what's going on with each other. So for him to just be gone.
Right. Despite having maybe some substance abuse issues, and his son, the anniversary of his son's passing coming up, like he didn't have any tendencies of like suicidal thoughts or anything like that, right?
Not as far as I know of. Nobody's ever said anything about that, which is why I believe people just don't believe the suicide, because when I first started calling the family, I would ask, did they just search where his son had passed and all that? And, the family was right on top of that, but I don't think not one of them, I don't believe, has ever believed that he would have done that. He would have hurt himself. He wouldn't have done it to his family.
Yeah, and if he had, you still have the whole mystery about the dog.
And if he had, I don't know why he would do it in a place where he wouldn't be found. You know?
And then also on top of that, right, he had a doctor's appointment he was going to. He was looking to, like, I'm not feeling well, I need to feel better.
Right.
Like he's actively trying to take care of himself. So that kind of goes against, in my opinion, any sort of
I don't believe
sort of attempt.
Yeah, I don't believe that suicide's even something that they should be considering, you know, because just some people just won't do it. No.
If the police has actually questioned anyone about this, like I know that you said there wasn't really any updates, but
right.
Do we know anyone that's...
I mean, they've talked to people because, you know, in the very beginning, but there's no way to know anything. I asked about getting the file, which of course, because it's an active case, they won't release the file, but the family has had him declared deceased.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so I don't know. I think if they could see the file, that might help a little bit with thinking that at least something was done. Because after 9 years and not really, you know, never hearing really from anybody in all that time.
Right. It's an active case, but in name only, right? Because they're not actively doing anything.
Yeah. Well, if they went out and searched, I think that's great. And that's kind of, you know, the whole point behind having the website and getting people talking about him again, you know. So if it just comes down to them searching different places, then it's something anyways. It's more than they've done the last 9 years. So
we've got the number up here again for tips. In case anyone does know anything, the number is 207-973-3700, extension 9, and request Detective Dana Austin.
And
we got a couple more comments.
Facebook page is Help Bring Russell Burnett Home, correct?
Yes. Or Bring Russell Burnett Home,
Bring. I knew I'd mess that up.
Carrie says, my late husband knew him and said he was never one to hurt himself.
Yeah,
Ken, the question is, how did he just disappear when he has such a strong family?
Yeah.
Billy, rumors of owing money, rumors also to someone. Anyone else heard that, I guess?
Yeah, there's, like I said, there's a few rumors that go around that, you know, parts of them have stayed the same. So it makes you wonder if there's any validity to it, but...
Did he owe people money that we know of?
Not that anybody knows of. You know, so like I say, there's a lot of rumors that are out and about that not sure where the foundation is, you know, but...
And I think you already answered this, but maybe Kent has an answer for us. Billy's asking, did they get a recent tip? Why did they search?
Yeah, as far as I know, like I said, they wouldn't say anything about what prompted it, if it was a tip or how it came about. But they're so close-mouthed on it that, you know, it's frustrating.
When did Detective Austin take the case? Was that just recently?
I think it's recently, because I want to say I called someone a year or so ago, and it was another name, I think. But, you know, it's passed down through the different detectives on it and everything. But
I feel like they do that a lot. Like they just,
yeah,
especially as the case gets older and colder, they just pass it off to the next new guy.
Right.
Yeah, that's every time we talk about a case. That's what it is. It's like, well, first it was this detective and this. Like, there's always a chain.
Yeah. And for people who have any ideas about places, they can message me on that page. Because I've been out a few times. I go out and just wander through the woods and keep,
if anyone does know anything.
What's that?
If anyone does know anything, as long as they weren't immediately involved in like
Yeah. And there
anything
is,
harmful to him, you
Yeah.
can remain anonymous.
right. And there is a reward for anybody who gives information that leads directly to them bringing him home. So, you know, for anybody who knows anything, there is a reward for it. That's between the person who leaves the tip and the family. I don't have a lot to do with that, only that there is one. But
his brother Kent says, I think they need to look into Steuben.
In Steuben, yeah, that's
Steuben.
That's the main rumor that I think everybody's heard about it and where he might be. But there's never anything concrete, never any, an exact where or, but like I said, when people send me stuff, I go look. I go out in the woods and tromp around.
So I'll ask this just because usually someone brings it up in the chat. Have you guys had a medium involved at all?
Not as far as I know. Nothing with me. But I don't think the family would be opposed to anything, really, just to have somewhere to look, I think, is one of the big things. Is just like there's nowhere to start even, because we know he's not around his house because they did the searching there, but where else do you go?
So
where do you start?
The gentleman with the wood chipper, do you know if he's ever been interviewed by the police or if
He
cadaver dogs
has
ever
been.
went through his property or anything?
Yeah, he has been, and they've not found anything. That's the thing, is I think they have run down some of the stuff, but how deep into it, or it's just hard to say, not having any information about what they've done so far. We don't know that they've talked to people. I mean, the family assumes that they have, with the information that they got in the beginning of the search. So, you'd assume that they've been looking and talking to people, but that's why, the family could just get information, this is where we stand and this is who we've talked to, just so they know.
Did Russell have a partner of any sort, a significant other or anything?
Not at the time, no.
I was clicking on the same one. Yeah, Carrie says, rumors also, Mr. Woodchipper locked the gates on the land and wouldn't let people on it.
So, I mean, people know, you can see people know, they know the rumors, but the hard part is getting anybody to give you more than just anything vague, is what I found, is just,
So what ties does he have to Russell? The wood chipper guy.
I don't think really any, besides being in school together. I'm sure there's rumors about other things, but
this is what I'd heard.
Russell
had relations with the wood chipper. I think with his wife.
Yeah, that's the rumor. So.
Oh.
That's what I'd heard as well.
Yeah. That's why I say the rumor's out there that's pretty steady, but it just doesn't lead anywhere. So it's, how much can you put into it? But it's pretty persistent that way.
Kent and Nadine, you guys should reach out to the Detective Austin and see if wood chipper guy's ever had a polygraph done, or if he's been asked to even take one. Even if he says, no, I don't want to take one, at least you've asked, and that might show deception if he doesn't want to take one.
Yeah. And like I say, it's hard. I don't know how much validity they put into anything that they've heard,
Billy says also lives close in proximity to where Russell disappeared from.
Yes. See, look, you're getting all kinds of the same information.
Yeah.
And
Kent had said a while ago, he said, I would welcome that. And I think he's talking about the possibility of a psychic or something. So,
Yeah, just something. Yeah. I talk with the family about the different things, but there's always the cost of things and getting things rolling and the whole nine. So, it's difficult to do everything you want to do,
Have you ever reached out directly to the detective on this to see if they're willing to give any updates?
I have called them. I called them about the search, which, like I said, they won't say anything about why they were prompted to search, where they searched. There's just no communication on that end that can give you any information about what is going on.
a lot of times people are put into the water as well. So have they looked into Hog Bay at all to see if...
That I don't think the police have looked into, but that is something that the family has thought of. That it's possible that's where he ended up.
Yeah.
But, that's why it'd be nice to be able to get remains that have been found,
And Carrie says, if a family member calls them, I bet they still won't give an update.
No.
Well, I mean, anyone calling just to apply a little bit of pressure can't do anything but help, right? Let them know that
Just
people are still
anybody,
wondering
yeah.
about this, right? And that's something we do on here a bit is we've called them up live before and called police departments and asked for an update while we're on the air, but
Billy,
and we've called off as well.
Yeah.
Billy's asking, what about car dealership down east? Are you aware of?
Yeah, that's somebody that supposedly is involved that I think has been talked to before by the police.
Okay.
So it's all the same things that everybody's been hearing. I mean, it's like I said, it's been a persistent rumor and it hasn't changed any, but I don't know. It's hard to, I guess it's hard to believe that something like that could happen, in our little.
Right. And it's
here.
Wild that he could just go missing from outside of his house in the wintertime and there's nothing about it. They're I don't know. It just seems
tracks,
so
right?
very, right. It just seems like there's so very, very little to this, evidence wise and what seems to have been getting done by the police. Did they just get told that he was missing and they asked two people and said, good enough.
No. I do know they did some searches. They did go up in the helicopter and such when he first went missing. I have talked to some people involved in that. So there wasn't a pretty extensive search in the beginning, but the weather, I guess, it was not bad during the day, I think. And then I think the weather turned really bad the night that he was reported and they had to stop searching because of the snow. But, the way I think is if somebody did take him somewhere, he can't be far, because he wouldn't have been put underground because it would have been frozen.
True.
So, to me, it's like somebody would have, to just get rid of him if they needed to, would have just taken him somewhere and left him. But then you'd think he'd have been easier to find at that point, but
yeah.
There's nothing.
The wood chipper guy, if you talk about the wood chipper guy, red in snow probably is going to stand out. So I would think
right.
Someone would have seen something with that.
But it depends on, it's where they're talking about all that happening is a little bit of a ways from where Russell lives.
Oh, okay. So it wasn't at that guy's house. He brought the wood chipper somewhere, you're saying?
That's the rumor.
Right.
Is, that it happened somewhere and there's, how you going to look at it? It's supposed to be private property and they don't let anybody on there. And, so how does a person look, someone like me that's just out there hoping to find something. And, there's no specific spot. It's kind of all big generalities of where it could be. And
So is that what Ken's talking about with Steuben? Or
yeah,
Steuben?
with Steuben, yeah. Yeah.
I've never actually heard of that town, so.
Yeah. It's just a little town.
So where in Steuben is he saying this happened?
That I don't know. Steuben's not very big, so I know I've gone on Google Earth just to look to see if the terrain has changed or anything, and of course I'm not real savvy with that stuff, so trying to look at historical as opposed to now, I try to look at something that was from before to something recent just to see if there's any anomalies or.
Yeah, there's a timeline at the top of Google Earth, right? So you can jump back a couple years or whatever. That's a good idea.
Yeah. And like I said, if I could find somebody who could get aerial photography or just, you could just find something with cars in the area. Just anything. There's just nothing. That's the problem, is there's just nothing.
Yeah.
It's a strange case for sure. People don't just, walk off the earth. So
right, and especially someone who's so connected to his family. It's just not something that happens.
So Russell Burnett, 48 years old, the time he went missing. Last seen February 21st, 2021, walking down Eastbrook Road in Franklin. 5'7", 150 pounds. He's got a shaved head and hazel eyes.
Yep.
And also, again, if anyone has any information, we'll put the number up here again, 207-973-3700, extension 9. And you're going to request Detective Dana Austin. If anyone does have anything, and you can remain anonymous if you didn't have anything to do with it directly.
I think it'd be good if a few people called Detective Austin tomorrow and start asking some questions.
Yeah, just even just letting them know that people are interested in this. We say it all the time: the squeaky wheel gets the grease. If you have to be a nuisance, then you have to be a nuisance. But it's worth it to, inconvenience an officer to do their job.
Right.
To maybe get an update or some answers or press them so that they know that people are taking this seriously, and people still care about Russell and they want answers. They want to have him found and get some closure to the family.
Yeah, and that's my biggest thing. It's just I just want him to be home. I don't want his mom to wonder where he is anymore. Or, at least if she knows the truth, at least she knows. Now there's no knowing, and it's
right.
It's it's hard for me, and I'm not even family. I don't know. I don't like that. I don't know where he is, or
How many siblings does Russell have?
He has Kent, and then he has another brother, an older brother that was my friend. Rob was my friend in high school, and then he's got 2 children. And then he did have a son that he had just gotten together with about the time he disappeared, which is sad.
Oh, man. Like reconnected?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's hard.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just, kind of a heartbreaking story all the way around, just for anybody who goes missing,
Yeah. Nadine, is there anything else you want to say before we end tonight?
There's not much. Just anybody, if they want to send me a message on my Facebook page, can send me a message also, and I'll pass on information without giving names if they don't want names.
And I'll share that again. So this is the link to that Facebook page.
Yeah.
Put that in the chat for people. Definitely, if you want to keep up to date, or if anyone has any information, go follow that page.
Yes. That would be great.
Nadine, thank you so much for telling us about Russell. And Ken, I know you're in the chat. Thank you for joining as well. Our
Yeah.
hearts go out to you and your whole family. And Nadine, you're pretty much a lifelong friend of Russell's, so I'm sure it's been hard for you as well. And I'm sure that the family appreciates all the work you're doing to try to help find him.
Yeah, I just want to bring him home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, just call if you know anything. But thank you so much for having me on so I could talk about this.
Yeah.
Oh,
absolutely.
not a problem at all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Good night, everyone.
Good night.
All right. Thanks everyone for joining us. Have a great rest of your night.
Search for 5-year-old Taylor Williams led investigators to Alabama this week.
So we have some breaking news from Florida. An arrest has been made in
Tonight, after
connection.
years of agony, a glimmer of hope for the family.
Investigators spent hours searching through this house off Pennsylvania Avenue.
What could be a major development in the search for missing Alabama teenager.
Tonight, a stunning twist in the search for Taylor.
Somebody out there knows something. They want to lay him to rest their way, not by somebody else's way.